The distress signal flashed on the medical ship's screen, its urgent pulses breaking the peaceful quiet of deep space. Dr. James Walker stood at the bridge of the HMS Mercy, watching as the alien vessel grew larger in their view. Its sleek, silver hull reflected the distant starlight, making it look like a fallen star. "Alien vessel identified as Astra Medical Transport," reported Tom, the ship's eye. "They're requesting immediate assistance. Life signs are failing on one of their passengers." Dr. Walker straightened his white coat, a habit he hadn't lost even after 10 years in space. "Any details about the patient?" "Young female, showing signs of severe immune response. Their medical team reports all standard treatments have failed." This caught Walker's attention. The Astra were known throughout the galaxy for their advanced medical technology and natural healing abilities. Their bodies could repair damage that would kill most species, and their hospitals were considered the best in known space. For them to request help from a human ship was unusual, to say the least. "Bring us alongside and prepare the medical bay," he ordered, already walking toward the elevator. "Tell them I'm coming aboard." The docking procedure took just minutes, but to Walker, it felt much longer. When the airlock finally opened, he found himself face to face with two tall, silver-skinned Astra. Their normally luminescent skin was dull with worry, and their four-fingered hands twisted together in a gesture he recognized as anxiety. "I am Dr. Walker," he said, keeping his voice calm and professional. "Where is the patient?" "This way," the taller Astra said, leading him through the ship's pristine corridors. "She is our daughter, Lyra. Please, we know human medicine is simple, but we have tried everything else." Walker heard the hesitation in the alien's voice, the careful way he avoided saying primitive. He was used to it. Most advanced species viewed human medicine as hopelessly outdated, relying too much on chemicals and not enough on genetic manipulation or nanobots. They entered a medical chamber that would have impressed any human doctor. Holographic displays showed detailed cellular scans, while automated systems monitored every aspect of the patient's condition. But Walker's attention went straight to the girl on the bed. She looked young, even for an Astra, probably equivalent to a human teenager. Her silver skin had taken on a sickly green tinge, and her chest rose and fell in rapid, shallow breaths. The sight stirred something in Walker's heart. She was someone's child, alien or not. He pulled out his medical scanner, a crude device by Astra standards, and began his examination. The parents watched nervously as he worked, their luminescent eyes tracking his every move. "Her immune system is attacking healthy tissue," he said finally, studying the readings. "Similar to several human autoimmune conditions. What treatments have you tried?" The Astra father waved his hand, and a hologram appeared showing a list of treatments. Walker recognized some of them. Cutting-edge procedures that most species considered miraculous. But something caught his eye. "You haven't tried any antihistamines or basic immunosuppressants." "Those are too simple," the mother said. "Our bodies are too advanced for such basic chemicals." Before Walker could respond, a new voice filled the chamber. "Step away from the patient, human." A tall Astra in elaborate medical robes stood in the doorway, flanked by two others. The ship's medical authority had arrived. "This is highly irregular," the chief medical officer said. "Human medicine is not approved for use on Astra patients. The risks of incompatibility." "She's dying," Walker interrupted, his voice firm, but not confrontational. "Your approved treatments aren't working. Sometimes the simplest solution is the right one." The officer's skin flickered with patterns of disapproval. "We appreciate your response to our distress call, Doctor, but we will handle this according to proper medical protocols. Please return to your ship." Walker looked at Lyra's parents, saw the desperation in their eyes, then back at the sick girl. Something wasn't adding up. Why send a distress signal to a human ship if they weren't willing to try human treatment? As he turned to leave, Lyra's mother caught his arm, her touch light as a feather. "Doctor," she whispered, "please don't go far." Walker nodded slightly, understanding the unspoken message. This wasn't over yet. Dr. Walker paced in his medical bay aboard the HMS Mercy, unable to forget the sight of the dying Astra girl. The ship's soft lighting reflected off the polished surfaces of his instruments. Simple tools by galactic standards, but tools that had saved countless lives. "Tom," he called to the ship's eye, "show me everything we have on astrobiology." Holographic displays flickered to life around him, filling the air with diagrams and text. He had studied alien biology, of course, but the Astra were notoriously secretive about their medical information. What he saw now surprised him. "Their immune system," he muttered, leaning closer to one display. "It's not that different from ours, just more complex. They've evolved it to the point where—" A quiet chime interrupted his thoughts. "Doctor," Tom announced, "two Astra are requesting permission to board. They're using a private channel." Walker straightened up. "Lyra's parents." "Confirmed." Minutes later, the Astra couple stood in his medical bay, their silver skin dimmed to near gray with worry. The father spoke first, his voice barely above a whisper. "The treatments aren't working. The medical council, they're still trying the same things, just with more power, more intensity. But she's getting worse. We've seen your medical records," the mother added. "Your success rates with similar conditions. They're not as high as our best treatments, but right now, their best treatments are failing." Walker finished for her. He picked up a simple medical tablet, showing them the display. "Look at this. Your daughter's immune system is like ours, just more advanced. I think that's actually the problem. It's too efficient. When it makes a mistake, it makes that mistake perfectly." The parents exchanged glances, their skin flickering with patterns of worry and hope. "Can you help her?" the father asked. "I think so. But I'll need your help to break about a dozen galactic medical protocols." Their answer was immediate. "Tell us what you need." Walker smiled. "First, we need to get her off their ship and onto mine. Officially, for a cultural exchange visit." The next few hours passed in a blur of careful planning and quiet action. The parents arranged for Lyra to be transferred, citing an educational opportunity, a common practice among the status-conscious Astra. The medical council objected, of course, but couldn't deny the parents' right to cultural education for their child. When Lyra was finally settled in the HMS Mercy's medical bay, Walker began his real work. He started with basic tests, things the Astra had dismissed as too primitive to be useful. Each result confirmed his theory. "Her immune system isn't just attacking her body," he explained to her parents. "It's learning to attack it better. Their advanced treatments are like trying to stop a runaway train by making it more powerful. We need to try something simpler." He held up a small injector. "Basic human antihistamines. They're too simple for her immune system to learn from or adapt to. Like trying to fight a supercomputer with a rock." The parents looked at each other, then at their daughter. Her condition had worsened even in the few hours since he'd first seen her. The mother stepped forward. "Do it." Before Walker could move, alarms blared through the ship. On the main screen, an Astra medical vessel dropped out of faster-than-light travel. "Incoming transmission," Tom announced. "The Astra Medical Council demands the immediate return of the patient. They're citing Regulation 47B, protection of citizens from unproven medical procedures." Walker looked at the parents, then at his simple injector, then at Lyra's failing vital signs. They were out of time for debate. "Tom," he said quietly, "initiate privacy protocols." He turned to Lyra's parents. "Whatever happens next, I need you both to be absolutely sure. This could cause a diplomatic incident." The father straightened to his full height, his skin finally showing some of its natural glow. "Save our daughter, Doctor. We'll handle the politics." The next few moments passed like hours in the HMS Mercy's medical bay. Dr. Walker pressed the injector against Lyra's silver skin, watching as the simple antihistamine entered her system. Her parents held each other, their luminescent patterns swirling with anxiety. Outside, the Astra medical ship's demands continued to flash across the main screen, ignored. Vital signs dropping, Tom reported, his artificial voice somehow carrying a note of concern. Walker checked his instruments, crude by Astra standards, but reliable. That's normal, he said, more to himself than the others. Her system needs to. He stopped mid-sentence. On his medical display, something extraordinary was happening. The antihistamine, that simple human medicine, wasn't fighting Lyra's advanced immune system. Instead, her natural healing abilities were adapting to work with it. Look at this, he said, pointing to the display. Her immune system isn't trying to defeat the medicine like it did with the advanced treatments. It's learning from it, using its simplicity as a template. The parents moved closer, their scientist training helping them understand the readings. But that's impossible, the father whispered. Our medical technology is built on complexity, on giving the body more power to heal itself. Maybe that was the problem, Walker replied, watching the numbers improve. Sometimes you need less power, not more. Lyra's breathing steadied. The sickly green tinge of her skin began to fade, returning to its natural silver. Her vital signs, which had been falling, started to stabilize. The mother touched her daughter's hand. Her skin, it's warmer, more natural. Before Walker could respond, the ship shuddered. The Astra medical vessel had locked on with a traction beam. Their boarding parties are attempting to override our airlocks, Tom reported. How long until they get in? Walker asked, already preparing another dose of medicine. 11 minutes at current rates. Walker nodded. That's all we need. Look at her readings now. The displays showed something remarkable. Lyra's advanced healing abilities, instead of fighting the simple human medicine, had taken its basic framework and improved upon it. Her immune system was creating a hybrid response, combining human simplicity with Astra efficiency. This is, the father started, his scientific mind struggling with the implications. This could change everything we thought we knew about medical treatment. The ship shuddered again. Through the medical bay windows, they could see more Astra ships arriving. The medical council was pulling out all stops to prevent this treatment from continuing. But they were too late. Lyra's eyes fluttered open for the first time in days. Her skin glowed with healthy patterns, brighter than before. What happened? She asked, her voice weak but clear. Walker smiled. We tried something new. Or rather, something old. The mother's skin flashed with joy patterns. How do you feel, little one? Better, Lyra said, sitting up slowly. Different, but better. Like my body finally understands what it's supposed to do. A loud clang echoed through the ship. The Astra had broken through the first airlock. Doctor, Tom announced, we have multiple boarding parties entering the ship. Walker looked at his patient, then at his readings. The treatment hadn't just worked. It had worked better than he'd dared to hope. Lyra's immune system had taken the simple human medicine and used it as a foundation to build something entirely new. The door to the medical bay slid open. The Astra Medical Council members rushed in, their robes flowing dramatically, only to stop dead in their tracks. There sat Lyra, healthy and alert, her skin glowing with vitality. Their advanced scans, which they immediately began taking, showed something unprecedented, a perfect fusion of human medical simplicity and Astra biological complexity. The head of the council looked from Lyra to Walker, then back again. For the first time in recorded history, an Astra medical official was speechless. Walker cleared his throat. I believe, he said quietly, we need to talk about the future of medical cooperation between our species. News spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. Within days, the medical community was buzzing with reports of the human doctor who had succeeded where advanced Astra medicine had failed. But what happened next surprised everyone, even Dr. Walker. In the main observation room of the Astra Central Hospital, Walker stood with a group of alien doctors, watching through a window as Lyra underwent her daily scans. Her recovery hadn't just continued, it had accelerated beyond anyone's predictions. Impossible, muttered one of the Astra doctors, checking the readings for the 10th time. Her immune system isn't just functioning normally. It's Better than normal, Walker finished. The combination of her natural healing abilities and the human medicine created something new. On the other side of the glass, Lyra's skin glowed with health, showing patterns that the Astra had never seen before. Her body had taken the simple human antihistamines and used them as a blueprint to create an entirely new kind of immune response. The head of the medical council, who had tried so hard to stop Walker's treatment, now stood beside him reviewing data. His earlier hostility had been replaced by intense scientific curiosity. "We have received 732 requests for treatment in the past day alone," the council head said, his skin flickering with concerned patterns. "All from Astra suffering from similar conditions. What do you suggest we do, Dr. Walker?" Before Walker could answer, an urgent message flashed across the room's main screen. Another Astra ship was requesting emergency treatment for a patient with the same condition. "We can't ignore them," Walker said firmly. "Not when we know we can help." The council head's skin swirled with uncertainty patterns. "But our regulations need to change." Lyra's voice came from the doorway. She had finished her scan and stood there, looking stronger than ever. "Look at me. I'm living proof that sometimes the old ways aren't the best ways." Walker watched as his former patient walked into the room, her movements graceful and sure. The other doctors stepped back, not in fear, but in awe. The patterns flowing across her skin showed a level of health and vitality that none of them had ever seen before. "I've been studying the scans of my own recovery," she said, bringing up a holographic display. Even after just a few days, she had thrown herself into understanding what had happened to her. "The human medicine didn't overpower my immune system like our treatments tried to do. It guided it, like teaching a child instead of programming a computer." The council members gathered around her display, their scientific curiosity overcoming their traditional caution. The data was undeniable. Lyra's immune system had learned from the human medicine, creating a perfect balance between power and control. "There's more," Walker added, pulling up his own readings. "Each time her body processes the medicine, it improves the formula. She's not just getting better, she's teaching her immune system a new way to work." The emergency signal from the incoming ship flashed again, more urgent now. The council had looked at the signal, then at Lyra, then finally at Walker. His skin patterns showed he was making a difficult decision. "Dr. Walker," he said formally, "would you be willing to oversee a medical trial? Not just for the incoming patient, but for all the cases we've received." Walker smiled. "On one condition. We do this together, human and Astra medicine working as one. Just like Lyra's immune system is doing." The council head's skin flickered with agreement patterns. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "it is time for the teachers to become students again." As if to emphasize his words, another emergency signal appeared on the screen. Then another, and another. Across the galaxy, word was spreading. There was hope for conditions that had once been considered untreatable. The revolution in galactic medicine had begun, not with a grand breakthrough, but with a simple human remedy and an alien girl's unexpected reaction to it. 1 month after Lyra's treatment, the Grand Hall of the Galactic Medical Conference was packed with beings from 100 different worlds. Dr. Walker stood on the stage, feeling slightly uncomfortable in his formal uniform. Behind him, a massive screen showed the results of the Astra medical trials. "As you can see," he said, pointing to the data, "it's not just about the medicine itself. It's about the approach." He clicked to the next slide, showing Lyra's original test results. Sometimes the most advanced solution isn't the best solution. In the front row, Lyra sat with her parents, her skin glowing with healthy patterns that still amazed other Astra. Next to them sat representatives from the Blue Star Alliance, the Ridge Colonies, and even the notoriously private Crystal Sphere inhabitants, all species known for their advanced medical technology. A Blue Star doctor raised her tentacle. "But surely this is just a unique case, a rare reaction." Walker smiled and nodded to Lyra, who stood and joined him on stage. "Over the past month, She had become the face of this medical revolution, speaking to doctors and patients across the galaxy. "Actually," she said, her voice clear and confident, "we've now treated over 3,000 patients from 12 different species. The results are consistent." She brought up her own set of charts. In every case, simpler human treatments provided a foundation that our bodies could build upon. The hall erupted in discussion. A Ridge Colony doctor stood up, his crystalline form catching the light. "This goes against everything we've developed over the last 1,000 years. Our entire medical philosophy is based on technological advancement." "Perhaps that's the problem," Walker replied. "We've been so focused on advancing that we forgot to look back at what works. It's like—" He paused, searching for a simple comparison, like trying to use a quantum computer to add 2 plus 2. Lyra stepped forward. "Let me show you something even more interesting." She waved her hand, and the display changed to show microscopic images. "These are from my latest tests. My body didn't just accept the human medicine. It learned from it, created something new." The images showed cell structures that made even the most experienced doctors lean forward in their seats. Lyra's immune system had evolved, combining the best aspects of human and astromedicine to create something unprecedented. "We're seeing similar results in other patients," Walker added. "Each species' biology takes the simple human treatments and builds on them in unique ways. It's not about replacing advanced medicine. It's about finding the right foundation to build upon." A crystal sphere representative, attending a public conference for the first time in decades, floated forward. Their translucent form pulsed with colors that indicated deep interest. "Our records, the being's thoughts translated directly into words, show that we once used similar methods, thousands of years ago, but we thought we had evolved beyond them." "Maybe evolution isn't always about becoming more complex," Lyra suggested. "Sometimes it's about finding a better way to be simple." The hall grew quiet as the implications sank in. Centuries of medical advancement had pushed every species toward more complex, more technological solutions, but here was proof that sometimes the old ways, the simple ways, could work better. From the back of the hall, another voice called out, "What does this mean for galactic medicine?" Walker looked at Lyra, then at the assembled doctors. "It means we need to work together. Human medicine isn't better than advanced treatments. It's different. And when we combine different approaches, amazing things can happen." As if to prove his point, Lyra's skin began to glow with new patterns, ones that showed a perfect harmony between human simplicity and Astra advancement. The sight made every doctor in the room, regardless of species, realize that they were watching the beginning of a new era in medical science. The future of galactic medicine wouldn't be found in either simple or advanced treatments alone, but in learning how to use both together. 3 months after the Galactic Medical Conference, the Astra homeworld had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Dr. Walker stood at the window of his new office in the Combined Medical Research Center, watching ships from dozens of worlds land and take off. "Doctor," Tom's voice came through his personal communicator, "your next group of students is ready." Walker turned from the window to face his classroom. Where once the Astra would have dismissed human medical training as primitive, now their best and brightest young doctors sat eagerly waiting to learn. Among them were representatives from 15 other species, all here to study what they now called foundational medicine. "Today," he began, "we're going to talk about something simple: headaches." The students leaned forward, their various biological features, from glowing skin to crystal formations, showing signs of interest. In the front row, Lyra sat as his teaching assistant, her skin patterns showing the perfect blend of human and Astra medical principles that had started this revolution. In the past, Walker continued, most advanced species treated headaches with neural reconstructors or pain-blocking nanobots. But let's look at how a simple human painkiller works. He brought up a holographic display, showing the basic chemical structure of aspirin. A Ridge Colony student raised his crystalline hand. "But isn't this too basic?" the student asked, genuine curiosity replacing what would have been dismissal just months ago. Lyra stood up, her skin glowing with teaching patterns. "Watch this," she said, taking a standard human aspirin and swallowing it. The classroom's medical scanners showed her body's reaction in real time on the big screen. The students gasped. The simple medicine wasn't just being processed by her advanced biology. It was being improved upon. Her body took the basic framework of the aspirin and adapted it, creating something that worked better than either human or Astra medicine alone. "This is what we mean by foundational medicine," Walker explained. "We're not replacing advanced treatments. We're giving your bodies a better starting point to work from." Down in the hospital wing below, the results of this new approach were clear. Patients from across the galaxy now came to receive treatments that combined human medical basics with their own species' advanced biology. Recovery rates had skyrocketed. A Blue Star medical student waved her tentacles excitedly. "Is this why the Crystal Sphere inhabitants have reopened their ancient medical archives?" Walker nodded. "Yes, they're finding that many of their primitive treatments actually worked better for certain conditions. They just needed our results to prove it." The door slid open, and an Astra Medical Council member entered. Unlike a few months ago, his skin patterns showed respect rather than condescension. "Dr. Walker," he said, "the first graduates of the Combined Medicine program are ready for their ceremonies," and his skin flickered with excitement patterns. "The Galactic Medical Board has officially recognized foundational medicine as a required field of study." The classroom erupted in cheers. What had started with one desperate treatment had grown into a movement that was reshaping galactic medicine. Lyra stepped to the front of the room, her presence commanding attention. "When I was sick," she said, "everyone thought human medicine was too simple to help me. Now we know that simple isn't the same as primitive. Simple can be smart." Walker watched with pride as his students, future doctors who would spread this knowledge across the galaxy, nodded in understanding. The old barriers between human and alien medicine were breaking down, replaced by something better. "Remember," he told them, "every species has something to teach and something to learn. Even the most advanced civilization can learn from the simplest solution." Outside his window, more ships were landing, bringing more students, more patients, and more opportunities to bridge the gap between human simplicity and alien advancement. The Cultural Revolution wasn't just about medicine anymore. It was about changing how species saw each other and themselves. 1 year had passed since Lyra first received that simple human medicine. Dr. Walker stood in the grand ceremony hall of the newly built Human Astra Medical Academy, watching as the first class of combined medicine graduates received their certifications. The massive room was filled with beings from across the galaxy, their different forms creating a living rainbow of colors and patterns. "Today marks not just a graduation," Walker said from the podium, "but the beginning of a new era in galactic medicine." In the front row, Lyra sat with her parents, her skin glowing with pride patterns. She wore the formal robes of an academy instructor now, having become one of the most respected experts in combining human and alien medical techniques. "When I first treated Lyra," Walker continued, "people called human medicine primitive. Now, we know better. Simple doesn't mean backward. Sometimes, it means getting right to the heart of the problem." The hall's massive screen showed images from the past year. Human doctors working alongside alien healers, simple medicines being combined with advanced technologies, patients from 100 worlds recovering from once incurable conditions. A young Astra doctor stepped forward to receive her certification. Her research project had focused on combining human antibiotics with Astra healing techniques, creating treatments that worked better than either approach alone. Behind her came a Crystal Sphere doctor, then a Ridge Colony healer, each having found their own ways to blend human medical basics with their species' advanced methods. "But the real breakthrough," Walker said, gesturing to the graduates, "wasn't just in medicine. It was in learning to see past our assumptions about what is advanced and what is primitive." Lyra stood and joined him at the podium. Her skin patterns had become famous across the galaxy. the first example of perfect harmony between human and alien medicine. "A year ago, I was dying," she told the audience. "No advanced treatment could help me. Now, I teach others how to blend the wisdom of simple human medicine with the power of advanced alien healing. Every species has something to teach us, if we're willing to learn." The ceremony reached its peak as the graduates rose together. In a tradition that blended human and alien customs, they each took small vials of medicine: human painkillers, antibiotics, and antihistamines, and added drops of their own species' advanced medical compounds. The resulting mixtures glowed with different colors: silver for the Astra, blue for the crystal sphere inhabitants, rainbow for the Ridge Colony healers. Each combination was unique, just as each species had found its own way to work with human medicine. "This is what the future looks like," Walker said, watching the display. "Not one species teaching the others, but all of us learning together." As if to prove his point, the ceremony's final moment arrived. A human patient was brought in, suffering from a condition that once would have puzzled human doctors. The young Astra graduate stepped forward, carrying a treatment she had developed, a perfect blend of human medicine and Astra healing techniques. The human patient recovered in minutes, proving that the medical revolution had come full circle. Now it wasn't just humans helping aliens, but alien doctors using their new combined knowledge to treat humans better than ever before. After the ceremony, Walker found Lyra in the Academy's garden. She was teaching a group of young doctors from various species, her skin glowing with the unique patterns that had started it all. "Ready for another year?" he asked her. Lyra's skin flickered with joy patterns. "The galaxy's finally learning what humans knew all along," she said. "Sometimes the best solutions are the simple ones. We just needed to be reminded." Above them, ships from across the galaxy continued to arrive, bringing more students, more patients, and more opportunities to prove that in the end, good medicine wasn't about being advanced or primitive. It was about finding what worked best, no matter where it came from. The human touch that had once been dismissed as too simple had changed the galaxy forever, reminding everyone that progress doesn't always mean making things more complex. Sometimes, it means finding the simplest path to healing.